So this is just a really quick basic tutorial about Google Forms. So we're just going to start right from scratch. So if you get to your drive, to get to a Google form, to make a new Google form, click on New. You come down here to More, and for me, it's the first option. Might be somewhere in that list for you, but we click on Google Forms, and then it's going to open up our brand new untitled form here. So first thing is I'll give it a title. Whatever you want to do, whatever you're looking at for that day. So I'm just going to put test because we're testing it out right now. Now, one of the cool things it does is if you just come up here to this spot that says untitled form still and click on that, it's just going to name it whatever you gave it the title. So you have that information there for you. With forms, it always starts out with a blank question here that you can click on to start answering. One of the things that I like to do is get a couple of data type questions just about the kids in terms of things you could filter by later on. So I usually start out with what block are they in. So I'll just put block and you give them some options. We do one, two, three, whatever. What that does later on is allow you to sort by that information later. So depending on what type of information you're collecting, if you want to have all this stuff separated by your classes, you can do that very easily if you have some of this qualifying information in there. So once we do that, you can kind of get into the meat of what you're doing. Open up a new question. Now, there's a lot of new features here. You can insert a graphic for a question too with this little the graphic symbol, the picture symbol looks like kind of little mountains there. A whole bunch of different question types, multiple choice. You can do short answer, which is just sentence or so. Paragraph, if you need a little bit longer writing. Multiple choice and drop down are fairly similar to each other. Check boxes if you want students to check more than one thing at a time. Linear scale is just kind of where you find yourself on a scale from blank to blank, 1 to 10, 1 to 5, whatever. And date and time are good too if you're collecting any sort of other information from them, if you're trying to schedule something with somebody or anything like that. So that's the information that you can choose for the questions. I like to make the questions required, so you just simply click on that. It means the students can't go on without answering that question. If you're doing a question that is a very similar format to other questions, if you just click this duplicate button right here, it just doubles the question here. So you're going to have exactly the same information and everything. So if you're changing small things on a series of questions, it might be something that saves a little bit of time so you don't have to retype a bunch of options. One of the really cool things that you can do with this is you can make additional sections. So if we hit here, add section, and I'm just going to drag one of my questions down to this. It starts off calling it untitled, but you'll notice it says after section 1, continue to next section. The neat thing about this, and I'm just going to change these couple options to A and B, is if you have multiple sections here, I'll just add a third section. You can make conditional questions. So based on the student response, they can go one place or another. It's really easy to do that. If you come to your three dots down here at the bottom of the question, click on that. You have description, and then right here it says go to section based on answer. So if we click that, I say if my students pick A, I want them to go to section 2, but if my students pick B, I want them to go to section 3. And what that allows them to do is you can kind of tailor the quizzes that you're presenting with any student to guide them in certain directions. So if you know that you have some struggling students, they may not answer all the same exact questions as some of the students that are a little bit more advanced. So you get to kind of differentiate in terms of formative assessment, which works out pretty well. So that's just a little trick there. Again, you can change these questions to be whatever you want them to be. In terms of administration of this, if you go over here to settings, one of the things that's nice is to collect email addresses, because what that's going to do is it gives you some information you can use later on, and you have all the information from the students that you want to see. You can kind of play around with the rest of this stuff. Presentation is just kind of what they see. You can make it a quiz. This is a pretty new feature in terms of Google Forms. I think it came out sometime within the past 6 months. Um, it allows you to give point values to questions, which is pretty nice. It also, you can see what the information that comes back is for the student. So if you want to see what questions they missed, the correct answers, how many points they got, all that stuff will go in when you do that. So if you hit save, it gives you actually a new option here. If you click on answer key, it allows you to assign points. Let's say this is a 1 point question and A is the right answer. And so if you go back to question one, you see this little question mark right here. And when you go in to look at that data, it will actually give you a grade now, and the students can get a grade for that. So it's kind of nice because it gives you information, but it gives them the information as well. When we go to responses, obviously we have none yet. But what you can do is you can view all the responses here. You can view them as a group or as individuals. But what I like to do is create the spreadsheet from this. And what this will do is we'll automatically create a new spreadsheet, and it's just going to give you the form name and then the say responses there. You can either do that, or if you want to put this as a data tab in another spreadsheet, you can do that as well. It's up to you. So all you'd have to do is select existing spreadsheet. You'd have to find it, but you do that, and then you just hit create, and all that stuff gets dumped into a spreadsheet that you can use. So that's just the real basic fundamentals of how to use Google Forms.